Tonight, the government of Cameroon says that terrorists in the English-speaking regions of the country masterminded the kidnapping of 18 persons in the locality of Ngute, that is in Manu division of the southwest region of the country, including 12 expatriates, but some Anglophone activists have denied ever kidnapping the foreigners. In this edition of the news as well, we talk about the Anglophone crisis that is affecting the Fongo-Tongo subdivision in the west region of the country. It's a locality which borders in Chang in the west region and the Bialem in the southwest region of Cameroon. We tell you how the area is almost being deserted. Plus, history in the making. The Constitutional Council will tomorrow proclaim the result of the senatorial election in the country. Those are headlines. Stay with us. We shall be right back. Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. We thank you so much for joining us in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinoxe Television. We announced to you a few seconds ago, inhabitants of Fongo-Tongo, it is a locality in Menua division of the west region of Cameroon, have deserted their homes to safer neighboring localities due to the extension of the Anglophone problem in the neighboring English-speaking zones. The schools have been abandoned and closed, businesses grounded and streets abandoned to security forces as tension waves from the southwest region of the country spreads to that Fongo-Tongo, that is a locality in Menua division of the west region of Cameroon. Innocent as it tells us more in the following report.
No peace in the southwest region, no peace in its neighboring localities like Fongo-Tongo subdivision in the Menua division of the west region of Cameroon. Part of the French region inherits characteristics of the troubled southwest region. When the southwest sneezes, Fongo-Tongo catches cold. Reason why security forces are stationed along roads to check who goes in and out of the French-speaking locality. Locals have deserted their homes, which are being colonized by bushes. The usually busy area has turned to a graveyard. Only sounds of birds on trees are heard. Very few people and motorcycles use the roads. Businesses are also grounded. At this drinking spot, palm wine is available, but consumers have been arrested in their cells by fear. On the other hand, some schools have also been affected by the Anglophone crisis in neighboring southwest region. Children like these ones had waved bye-bye to school 2 years ago. They have joined their parents to idle at home, with risk of becoming irresponsible in the society. This woman who escaped tension in the southwest region says she has just jumped from a pot of hot water into another. She has decided to surrender from running helter-skelter, searching for where to seek refuge. The Francophones believe there is turmoil in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon. Reason why they that are affected plead on government to solve the crisis immediately through dialogue for them to remain united with their fellow Anglophone brothers and sisters. Nothing past arrangement. The Anglophone crisis is known to be escalating on a daily basis with regrettable consequences. Yet, nothing is being done to bring it to an end. Some Cameroonians and international peace crusaders have gone baffled if eardrums of government authorities in Cameroon have been unplugged, impeding them from hearing the calls for inclusive and genuine dialogue in order that peace returns in the nation.
And there is the senior divisional officer for Meme in the southwest region of Cameroon that is wooing families, parents, as well as children that have escaped to other safer localities to return to their respective villages. He was speaking during a meeting with chiefs that took place that was today in that part of the country. It should be noted that several villages have so far been deserted in Meme division as a result of increasing tension between security forces and some yet to be identified armed individuals. The senior division officer for Meme division held a meeting today with chiefs in the said locality. It is coming barely few days after the visit of the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paula Tanganji, who called on chiefs of the two Anglophone regions of the country to take their responsibilities and ensure that Anglophone Cameroonians that are currently seeking refuge in bushes regain their respective localities. Let's now come back to the excerpt of the SDO for Meme division. Mr. Ntundong Chamberlain was speaking to our correspondent in Kumba. Take a listen.
If the contractor, you see how far they can continue with work, but you notice it because they have lost one of their workers. You see also that the whole road, the Kolotiti Kumba, was considered like the mini economical road in the Meme division. But today, all the villagers have run away. All the contractor, nobody is there. That is why I think that it is time for us to bring them back, to be sure that all the villages have been resettled by the population. We know also that all the food in general was coming from this same road. Now that the population have decided to run away, it will be difficult for us if nothing is done to have food in the few 7 or 9 months. In general, I know that like their father, they are going to follow what I gave to the chief like instruction. Like the father, I'm going to do my best to forward their worries to the head of state, and I know that like the father of the whole nation is going to do something.
And that is the situation in Meme division of the southwest region of the country. Now the communication minister has issued a release today confirming that terrorists, those were his words, in the English-speaking regions of the country captured 18 persons, that is 12 Europeans and 6 Cameroonian councillors in Guti, Manyu division of the southwest region of the country. Issa Shoma Bakari said that they were released following an operation by elements of the National Defense Forces on the 2nd of April in Manyu division of the southwest region of Cameroon. The government spokesperson said that 2 of the expatriates are from Switzerland and 5 in Italy. He said that security forces have succeeded to gun down tens of terrorists, seize guns, hard drugs and explosives in the northwest region of Cameroon. He said that the government would not relent in the fight against the enemy. Those were the words of the communication minister, but to some Anglophone activists, they have so far denied the kidnapping of 12 expatriates as indicated by the government of Cameroon. The Minister of Communication equally confirmed the attack on the 2nd of April 2018 in Fotokol, far north region of the country, that led to the killing of 5 security officers. And just to note as well that the deal for Wabane, that is a locality in Lebialem of the southwest region of Cameroon, was equally picked up few hours ago. That was precisely yesterday, Tuesday. He was released few hours later. He is Chi Augustine. He was picked up in the locality of Ashong on board his vehicle. It was a similar situation in Momo division of the northwest region of the country, where we are having reports that 3 chiefs were actually kidnapped, but they have so far been released. They are chiefs of the Ika, Isai, as well as Ambombo villages of the Momo division that is in the northwest region of Cameroon. We, of course, will be telling you more on that in our subsequent newscast. Now, talking about the situation in the 2 English-speaking regions of Cameroon, to travel between Equinoxe and Manfi, to travel to Equinoxe from Bamenda, whether during the day or at night, is a veritable nightmare to commuters. The roads are inundated with checkpoints, and it now takes even 5 hours to cover the almost 3 hours journey, as we hear in the following report. The Bamenda-Equinoxe Highway is part of the Trans-African Link, conceived 3 decades ago between 6 countries, including Cameroon and Nigeria. The construction of the 124-kilometer road which links the 2 Anglophone administrative regions, the Northwest and the Southwest regions of Cameroon, was financed by the African Development Bank. The road linearly runs through major towns in these regions like Batebo in Momo, Mamfe, Eyomojok, and Equinoxe in the Manyu division. The distance between Bamenda and Equinoxe is approximately 3 hours 30 minutes, but the hundreds of passengers plying this route have testified that it sometimes takes 5 hours and more to get to Equinoxe. The numerous checkpoints along the road explains why. As vehicles leave Bamenda, the first gendarmerie post is in Guan, in Bali subdivision of the Mezam. Another gendarmerie control post is stationed before Gungon. The third is in Batebo in front of the gendarmerie brigade. As we passed through Bifa, in Momo division, to Ridikum town, hundreds of traders and buyers could be spotted in the market, selling and buying. And after a few minute drive was another checkpoint. As we approached Manyu, we observed the number of checkpoints have increased. We're at close range and the level of tension also visible. In Kendem, Upper Bayang subdivision in Manyu division, for instance, passers-by can easily perceive a deserted village, though security forces are going about their activities normally. From Etoko, Nchemba, Mamfe, Agbokem, and Eyomojok, where we passed through systematic control, the gendarmes were armed and the checkpoints surrounded by bags loaded with cement. The forces, who refused to be named, said that the bag served as defense in case of any attack. The atmosphere along the Bamenda-Mamfe highway is therefore that of an uncertainty. The Anglophone crisis has eaten deep into the economic sector. The majority of those using this route do so for business purposes. But the number of commuters have dropped drastically as a result. Some transporters told us that things may only return to normal when the Anglophone crisis is resolved. We arrived at Equinoxe 5 hours after we left Bamenda, chief town of the northwest region of Cameroon. Equinoxe, which is in Eyomojok district, on the Cameroon-Nigerian border, one of the busiest towns. And in Equinoxe, where economic activities are on a standstill, in our subsequent newscast we shall be getting the reactions of traders as well as persons or transporters in that locality. That's going to be in our subsequent newscast. Now, at least 100 families have been rendered homeless at the Makepe Misoke neighborhood in the Douala 5 subdivision after their houses were demolished. That was today. Most residents say that land title dispute resulted to the destruction of the structures. Our reporter Rabiatu Aliu was in Makepe Misoke. She brought back the following report.
Early Wednesday, 4th April, inhabitants of Makepe Misoke in Douala were taken by surprise as they were forced to pack out from their houses, never to return again. More than 100 houses have been demolished and at least 100 families made homeless. More houses were earmarked for demolition in this locality.
Wake up this morning like this, as you are seeing things like this, we are just so shocked to see it. When we woke up, we saw this police, all these people that came. We were even thinking that they came here to advise us to remove our things. They even asked us to leave here. We said, no, wait, even explain to us what is going on. They said, no, they will not listen to anything. After I saw them, we just saw them breaking house.
Some inhabitants do not know why their houses are demolished.
If I say I really know the story, no, I don't really know. You've been living here for how long? I've been living here for 6 years.
While other occupants of this piece of land, who have been living for years, have explained that the land title dispute resulted to the destruction of houses.
The man that have this plot is in court with this man that is broken this place. Because tomorrow the 6th, the court will pass on the 6th. So I called the person, the person that had the plot, had the land title of this place. They told us that it's not possible that they can break it, because you know that the procedure is still in court.
An alleged landowner is said to have taken the matter to court, but the final decision is still to be made public. The landowner in question is still to react to the allegation. But these residents are complaining that they bought a piece of land they are currently occupying several years ago. Families are frustrated. They pack out their property without an idea on where to relocate. Mattress, beds, kitchen utensils, furniture are some of the household items that were rescued. Homeless residents were reportedly issued a quick notice, but it was not respected by all. In frustration, they call for government intervention.
Look at our things. We are speaking now like this with tears in our eyes. If our president can do something about this whole thing, we don't know, we are confused. Please help us.
Forces of law and others were there to supervise and maintain calm.
And the rainy season is here. Inhabitants of Mbuda, west region of Cameroon, are yet to have access to potable water. Residents are now obliged to consume water from doubtful sources, as innocent as it tells us in the following write-up.
Taps in Mbuda, west region of Cameroon, since the start of the dry season till present, have been serving out air to the populace to quench their thirst instead of water, the precious liquid. Locals wonder if Mbuda is becoming a desert. In some areas where water flows temporarily, it takes residents courage to drink the liquid, which has been intoxicated. The water is dirty, has color, odor. You can't drink the water even when you close your eyes. Majority of the residents trek long distances in search of the precious liquid. No matter the source, they scramble to fill their empty containers. Other water points, homes of good Samaritans, can still not relieve the population who pile up gallons to catch a drop from the taps. They have to wait for several hours before filling their gallons. Others get exhausted and they search the area to return later. Those who have some coins in their pockets are free from the stress. Boreholes are also running on a deficit. It is believed the intense dry season affects underground water. Streams equally get dry due to high evaporation rate.
Malheureusement, en saison sèche,
the regional delegates of water and energy resources works to better up the issue. Meantime, the population is compelled to keep the water hunt while waiting for the new minister, Gaston Ilundu Esomba, to burst into the field and remedy the water crisis.
And for the first time in the history of Cameroon, the senatorial election results will be proclaimed by the Constitutional Council, whose members were appointed and commissioned into their functions a few weeks ago. The official proclamation of the results will take place tomorrow at 11 a.m. in the nation's capital. The council has given its final verdict on the post-election petitions that was yesterday, which did not favor the two petitioners, the Social Democratic Front and the CDU political parties. The session tomorrow would be attended by government officials, members of the diplomatic corps and some opposition leaders. After making public the results that would see the election of 70 senators in the country, the President of the Republic would have 10 days to appoint 30 more senators to make the upper house of parliament complete. Now, the results of the 2018 by-examination in the country were released. That was yesterday by the minister, or one day ago by the Minister of Justice. 474 out of the 1,350 candidates passed the exams and are expected to take part in the oath of office in the coming days, or the oath swearing ceremony in the coming days. Rabiatu Aliyu read through the list and compiled the following report.
174 out of 1,350 candidates have passed the 2018 Cameroon bar examination. They can now exercise the law profession in Cameroon. 876 others who failed to comply to examination requirements could catch up next session.
According to the 1995 decree, which organizes the examinations, we are normally supposed to organize another examination for trainees who could not make it during the end of the training examination. In the previous years, most trainees who were not admitted continued their training for some years while waiting for the next session. But the delay mostly comes from the Ministry of Justice.
The result published by the Ministry of Justice shows that more than one-third of the candidates could not make it through due to some challenges that hampered the training process.
We had more than 1,400 lawyers to train. This number is more than the previous years. We faced some difficulties, such as insufficient materials, and their number posed a problem to us. Most of them didn't have.
The successful candidates are expected to take the oath of service in the coming weeks.
That is Rabiatu Aliyu, the reporting now. Our reporter Emerencia Konlak visited one of the successful candidates who was or is visually impaired Legamine. He made his way into the law school. Our reporter Emerencia Konlak actually visited Barrister Javier Ngale Mbok here in the economic capital Douala, was recounting his journey to the law school, as we hear in the following report.
Barrister Janvier Galembok Alfred, 37-year-old, is one of the successful candidates who sat for the final year Cameroon bar examinations. His success among hundreds of other candidates is considered incredible but real. Barrister Janvier Galembok Alfred tells us that his life wasn't a bed of roses. He further explains that integrating was never an easy task for him, as he needed to prove himself worthy.
Yes, I started my primary school in Bulu Blanc Center, where I did my primary school from class 1 to class 7. I got my first school English certificate. After that, I continued to Francophone session from 6th to terminal. I did the Francophone session. It was not very easy because I have to convince the headmaster of those schools that I will be able to learn in their school. Meaning scientific subject. When the teacher of mathematics is doing mathematics in the blackboard, I cannot see what he is doing. He cannot explain me as he does to other people, because for me I cannot see the blackboard. Sometimes when he writes, I cannot know what he is writing. So for me, mathematics, science, all those subjects were very, very difficult for me. And also that during exam, they have to read the subject to me. for me before I start working, because I cannot read this picture. They have to read. I will write it in Braille. Then I will use my typewriter, because at that time I was reading the typing machine. I type all the answers of the question which are in the papers. I type them, then I give my copy. Research in the internet. I can go to, because in my computer we have a program which can help me to work. The program can read. I can read everything, and I can go and have the criminal procedure code, or civil law. I can do every research. When I do it like that, I register in my computer. After that, I can read easily all the subjects. So when I started, after the last days, I knew that I will pass.
Barrister Joseph Claude Biliga Bijoda praises his strength and hard work after being privileged to be his tutor. He also tells us some of the difficulties that the barrister faced during his internship in his cabinet.
I met Barrister Ngalebok a few years ago during the entrance examination in pupillage. I was one of the members of the jury, and then they told us that amongst those who were competing, there was a blind. I went there in his class, and I tried to help him to read the subject. After that, I met him during General Assembly, our General Assembly in Yaoundé, Race Course Center. And one day, here in my chambers, I saw him coming. He came and we discussed. And during that discussion, I realized that he wanted to be a member of my chambers. And I decided to give him that change, because I realized during our conversation that he was a person who has wisdom, who has willingness to go ahead, and I thought that I can be that person who can help him to achieve his goals. It is why I decided to take him as a member of our chambers. As you can imagine, it was not easy for me to work with him in the beginning, because since he cannot read, I need those persons who can be available at any moment. But what we did is that we tried to learn.
And now we talk sports. Football, a few months to the 2019 AFCON Games to be hosted by Cameroon workers at the Japoma Construction Stadium site here in the economic capital Douala are still angry over their poor working conditions. They say that they are working without health insurance cover. A planned demonstration by the various workers at the Japoma Stadium construction site was aborted by security forces who were heavily deployed on the site today. The workers of the stadium that is expected to host the group, or a group rather, of the AFCON matches in the country in 2019 are protesting over poor treatment and deplorable working conditions. Let's now have an excerpt of one of the staff delegates that were on strike. Mr. Anya Felix Cho is going to be explaining the reason why they decided to paralyze activities today. Take a listen.
At our job site, it happened that the government even knows that today like this is a day that we have to grave for our rights. So we don't know why the governor of Pretoria had to send gendarmes to come and block us after all the workers were with us, and they even used their guns to send workers inside, which was not tolerated. That instruction is illegal. I call it illegal because there's never a day that you will see either a policeman or a gendarme to come when people are fighting for their right. You only come there to make peace, but not to use those guns to drive them. The way the people treated us this morning was not the way I thought it would be. At first we were at the gate. Just within 30 minutes, they came and took workers to force them to enter inside. Us, the delegate, were at the gate. They said, no, we cannot be at the gate. We push ourselves nearer. There's a mango there which is up from the gate, 5 meters. They still come and follow up that we should not stay even around the area where the job is being concerned. Can you imagine that a foreigner even standing before us, the delegate, and tell us that we have no right? They are the people who have the right to do whatever they want to do with us.
And we bring to you updates of the FENASCO A Games taking place in Gaundere. Wrestling is the first discipline at the competition or the Games Village to get winners of the gold medals as the competition enters the free. Today, the Secondary Education Minister, Dr. Nalo Valiunga, is however present at all the venues to ensure that the competition unfolds hitch-free. Details with Samanjik and Gabriel.
Namundo Rose put smiles on the face of the Southwest delegation in Adamawa for the 20th edition of the FENASCO A Games. It was, however, not an easy battle owing to the tough climatic condition in Gaundere.
It was somehow tough and it was not easy because especially the heat, it makes your body feel so tight. So I just thank God for winning this gold medal.
The success of Namundo wasn't strange to our coach.
Obviously, she is one of the famous wrestlers in the Southwest that has been rewarded by the FENASCO last year for being the best wrestler on 45 kilograms of death. This year she was fighting on 51 kilograms of lady, and she has still made it her competency, showing that she's really a good wrestler in the national level.
The organization of the games still remains a talking point.
I cannot say that the organization is bad because our objective is to obtain our medal. But when it looks to the feeding, we have a little bit of doubt. But we thank God that our athletes are going through the difficulties. We cannot have any occasion without difficulties. So we pray that Almighty will guide us and protect us and lead us from this henceforth until we reach the Southwest region.
Off the wrestling ring, athletics was also on program, with both the secondary and teachers training colleges present in Gaundere highly involved. Female football and volleyball were all on schedule, with the actors aiming to get the precious medals at the end of the game. In all of the different venues, from the wrestling ring to the football pitch and the volleyball court, the presence of the Secondary Education Minister, Dr. Nalova Valiunga, was noticed as she supervised the games. Individual sports like wrestling and athletics has this far given out medals as the delegation continue to wait on team sport events to produce their first medal. The FENASCO A Games that began on Monday will end on April 8, 2018.
That is day 3 of the FENASCO A Games taking place in Gaundere in the Adamawa region of Cameroon, where some of the athletes are already complaining about poor feeding conditions. They're bringing us to the end of this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinoxe Television. Another edition of the news is going to be coming up at exactly 8 p.m. That's going to be in the French language with Cedric Nufili. We thank you so much, viewers, for joining us. Until we meet again, goodbye.